Hello and welcome to EBA Day TV, and we have a special panel for you today looking at a topic that I really enjoy, which is innovation in payments. So joining me today is Dean Spacito from Deutsche Bank and Francis Duroc from BNP Paribas, and of course Günter Gall from RZB. So I wanted to sort of look this idea about the role innovation plays at banks, because right now, you know, banks have been going through a pretty tough time the past few years. There's this wave of new regulation. There's, of course, Eurozone crisis and then a global financial crisis. So how important is innovation, especially in the payment space, to banks? I don't know who wants to jump in on that first.
I can gladly begin.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think it's key to our value proposition to clients. And, you know, the two-day conference here, also the title of it, Innovation Through Collaboration, or, you know, together with collaboration, shows also the emphasis being placed on innovation. And I do think for us to remain competitive, and there we can come a little bit to the competitive landscape, to remain competitive, we need to continuously innovate, but not just for the sake of innovation. We need to be listening to our clients. We're living in an ever-changing environment, and we have to react to that, offer better solutions to the clients, which in its core means to innovate.
Yeah, do you agree? Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think innovation is really important. We are in markets with increased competition, the value chains are competed. We have the digitalization of the payments and with new payment propositions. So, and all those new entrants are playing with that, and we have to react. And coming back to the innovation, indeed, we need to be innovative, not just enhance the products or going up and down the value chains. Our competitors and the new entrants are doing differently, and we have to look to that and jump out of the classic path and really try to innovate and go out of it. That's important.
Yeah,
well, actually, I think innovation is nothing new in payments. I think we did it the last years. It's on the agenda just because SEPA has come in, and I think also with SEPA Phase 2, now new entrants are entering our grounds, and they bring different types of innovation. I have a little bit semantic problem with innovation, because what we are currently doing is mainly renovation. So we do change things which are existing, and the real innovation perhaps is taking place in some areas, but it's also a little bit a problem that the activities of innovation is, of course, on a high priority among the payment experts and the payments responsible persons. But I have the feeling that the board or the CEOs of the banks are rather reluctant to invest in payments because it is highly regulated, it's price regulated. There's little room anticipated or perceived that there will be returns and revenues. So I think this is a very diverse situation, and it makes collaboration quite difficult, because when it comes to strategies and payments, strategies are defined by the board. And I have the feeling the crisis and all the ongoing circumstances is overwhelming, so that it's a little bit pushed back. And it's my feeling is that such events like EBA Days is key, that it brings to the right attention that we have to do that because it's necessary. But on the other hand, I think it's nothing new, because we renovate and innovate for always, every day. Every product manager of our banks is some kind of innovator for the years. Yeah. But it's key and sexy now, and we talk about it.
It is, yes, yeah. Innovation. But I mean, so are you looking at sort of the challenge? It's not so much innovating something creating something brand new, but taking the existing banking infrastructure and building on that and improving.
Making more efficient and even cheaper, because it was mentioned in one of the presentations today that the innovation should rather focus on the cost reduction, not in the increase of revenues, because that will be very difficult to do. Without an investment, to innovate without investment, to make things cheaper, that would be key. Yeah? That would be the best thing to do, but it is very hard to find out.
I mean, whenever I think of innovation, I'll start back with you, Dean. I think of, you know, services to the customer, and I think we're seeing a lot in banking, especially the past few years, services that are in the consumer market bleeding their way into services that banks are offering to corporates. And you're really seeing this, I think, with mobile. So, you know, what role does mobile play in sort of innovating payments offerings?
We've taken actually a close look at mobile. And in our business model, I have to say I'm covering the FI segment. So mobile plays a slightly, I would say, less role in kind of my day-to-day business and the day-to-day interactions with our banking clients. That said, the whole industry is looking very closely at it, and clearly, if we look across the globe, we see the growth within mobile payments much more relevant, prominent in, if I can say that this way, in kind of less developed countries. So in countries where we have large populations that are unbanked, but everyone has a mobile phone. So that technology is phenomenal. And also when you go to the Nordics, in the Nordics there's an enormous really innovation around mobile payments and using mobile payments in kind of more heritage infrastructures in Western Europe, like Germany, for instance. Mobile payments really plays a very small role at the moment. Will it grow? I think it will continue to grow. Is it something we're looking at? Yes. But at the moment, we don't see, that's not driving our business model so actively at the moment on the FI side.
Okay, yeah, but on the corporate, I know corporate's not your side, but Deutsche Bank has made a lot of sort of announcements on the corporate side.
Yes, and we actually do have, within our product management group, we have teams really looking very closely at that for the corporate and also, of course, for the retail bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So mobile. Francis, are you seeing mobile becoming more prominent in this space?
Yeah,
or?
of course. Even in our bank as well, we are very actively busy on the mobile side. See mobile, and it was said in another conference yesterday, I think. See mobile as a remote control. From out of the mobile, the youngsters they control everything. They control their Facebook, their LinkedIn, but they control also their payments. It's a unique instrument. It's from where they manage everything. And indeed, mobile is in the center of our attention, and there will be some initiatives in the coming months that we will show. And then we try to connect that mobile to the payments, but to all the other instruments, and even the classic ones, look to e-invoicing. It will be launched first on the mobiles before it will be on the web banking even. Just mobile is really important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense with the e-invoicing offering, exactly.
Well, it's of course it offers the necessary convenience because that's everyone has it, everyone has the device with it. It's amazing in the last years how many people have to communicate because no one can recall the times where there was telephone booths and you have to put in a coin and wait in a line perhaps in order to phone up your loved ones. But so everyone is telling everyone things, and of course that is of course the best means to also integrate in this social media environment, also the payments and the banking environment. The only thing is there's so many mushrooming around that we currently don't know what is the right way to do. It's like at the early days of TV and all these kind of devices. So I think the dust has to settle down when then collaboration and harmonization can take place. So I think that's a little bit, we have to take care that this is not becoming a bubble and everyone is developing the same thing. So that asks and cries for collaboration somehow. It's for either with the card companies or with other banks or with the telcos. But still, we are not at the end of the road. We are at the very beginning, and even in our group we cover 70 countries. We have already 3 mobile versions. So that's we don't know because it's very locally oriented and local telephone providers and. Also, we have not to forget, if you have a mobile with a telco, you always have to, you limit your target group, because it's only then the Edge Read or the iPhone users you can reach, and we want to reach all our customers. So a little bit, it's very locally for the time oriented, because then you reach the utmost number of your customers. Mm-hmm. And even that, you reach only more or less the younger ones, and the older ones will stick to the traditional means of payment methods, of course. Mm-hmm. But even that, my parents-in-law are in a house for older people, and they have a corner for internet, and the 80 plus people are sitting there and playing internet and social media. So it's not always that say the old people cannot use these devices. I think they are quite interested, they have a lot of time, and also there would be a target group if you make it properly designed for them, perhaps reading it better, and this kind of, there's telephone mobiles already with special emporia, what they called, so special means. But I think you have to target it for the right customer group in order to, that is convenient then.
Okay, I'm gonna keep on you because I'm gonna move to our final question, looking at the theme of the conference, which is innovation and collaboration, and especially in the payment space, you have a lot of talk about payments becoming a commoditized business for banks, and there's a lot of so-called, payment disruptors out there, and third party and PayPal, and so what road do banks need to go down to innovate their payments, and do they have to look to partnerships, and what type of collaboration do they work on?
Well, I think in this highly competitive market, it was very essential that we start the SEPA project, and we now end more or less the SEPA phase 1 project with a migration of the core products. That is for me the foundation. That is no business case, but it's a foundation that everything is working fine. We need the direct debits, we need the credit transfers. Now what we are now with the green paper of the Commission issued, and there is the SEPA phase 2. It's more or less the fight or the activity around e-commerce, the virtual way of payments. And in that world, we face new entrants. We fight for a level played field because the non-regulated are not that regulated as the others. But I think that's what we currently find out in the collaboration room, that SEPA phase 2 is being organized. We just discussed the SEPA governance in a new model. There is the EBC, there is the SEPA Council, there are some bodies how to do that, and I think everyone is aware that every euro spent in this environment is a good investment, because developing it on your own doesn't mean. The main issue is, however, where does the collaboration of innovation make sense, to what level, and where is the differentiation key? Because we cannot, you cannot indoctrinate innovation like the regulators try, because then we have one single bank in Europe which is doing something. So every bank has to, even to the non-banks and among the banks, have to differentiate and to provide a different model of value to the customers. But on a basis, I think as well, there might be, make sense that a common model of collaboration is taking place.
Yeah, I mean, where do you see collaboration driving innovation?
Well, we need to collaborate. We are in a highly technical world those days with a lot of standards. Standards means collaboration. We can put on top of the standards each our own individual products, but do never compete on standards. There are only losers, there are no winners. And I think in that environment we need really to collaborate. It's the only way to get out of to build your own systems on top of that. So I think that's really key.
Yeah, do you want to round us up?
Sure. You mentioned the word commodity. And I think that's
yes, I know that's the dirty word now.
That's one of those words that makes all of us cringe to a certain degree, because we are in this business, and perhaps I can kind of chime in on that point.
Yep.
If I look to my region and the deals that we've won over the last year, let's say, the very fabric of the relationships we have with banks, the deals that come in, the way we add value shows me that it's certainly not a commoditized service. And I think there, Gunter was absolutely right, talking about, first of all, business case and in a regulated environment. So obviously there are pieces in the business model that you need to have highly scalable, highly automated, where you don't really differentiate from the competition. And those are those pieces, talking about SEPA, where the collaboration I think is key, because we can kind of leverage each other. You don't really differentiate yourselves so greatly on the mass, kind of low value payments, and we want it to be very scalable, fully automated, run through the systems with a very good cost income ratio. And then you have the other piece where you really, I think, and that's what's good in the competition, where you can really build value added services to the clients to differentiate yourselves. And there still are a lot of those services. So, for me, it's really getting that mix right and presenting it also correctly to senior management to get exactly what you were referring to, Gunter, to get actually, we call it change the bank spend, but to get actual investment budget to push the business. And Elizabeth, we talked about that a little bit yesterday around the business case and around transaction processing, that, after the volatility in the financial crisis, you had many banks talking about entering transaction banking as a stable business with a good annuity flow, sustainable, long-term, not as volatile.
Transaction bank is the new sexy.
However, to Gunter's point, I firmly believe they're very high barriers to entry. And it's hard to make the business case at the moment in a very regulated or an ever more regulated environment where you do have margin compression.
I think our challenge has one name. I think I call it several years, and this is still correct and right. We have to standardize flexibility. Standardize that operational-wise is very cheap, and it's very standardized in the back offices, and to the customers it has to be flexible, perceived to be flexible.
Standardized
And
flexibility. I
how
like
to
that
do that?
phrase.
How to do that is very difficult, but I think who's doing that the best, I think, will succeed in the market because it produces cheap and it offers flexibility in the market. And whether this is a mobile or a convenient other means, we will see tablets, whatever, it doesn't care. But flexibility is key.
That's great. I think that's a good spot to end this. I want to thank you, Dean and
Thank you.
Francis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.